Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is actually the first interview that's new for the year. And I want to start out this interview. The person I chose for the very first interview of the year is somebody that I have like a weekly show. We do a weekly show, and I thought, hey, he does so many other things within the comic thing, and I just like the comic marketplace that I kind of want to get his insights on those, and I think it would be a really cool idea for interview. So without further ado, I'd like to bring my good friend Mark Oldroyd in, and he can tell us about both the London comic market, which is like selling face to face kind of sell,
Yeah.
and then also about Whatnot. I actually never used Whatnot in terms of buying or selling, so it'd be really great to get your insights on both those things.
Okay, well, let's start with the London Comic Mart. So
Okay.
the London Comic Mart occurs about, it's sort of fairly erratic. It's sort of every 2 or 3 months. So
Oh,
you
okay.
get
I thought it was more frequent than I thought it was like every week. Yeah.
no. It's every 2 to 3 months. So it happens about 5 or 6 times a year.
Okay.
Um, and it's held at a big central London hotel, which have
Hmm.
got big sort of conference room facilities, and it's been there for a number of years. In fact, it is an old sort of comic venue, because back in the day I went to the UK comic art convention in the
Okay.
80s, and that was held at the same hotel. So
Okay.
it's
So how
so
many people would be at this, like in terms of the vendors? Like
okay, so the first thing about it is it's comics, right?
yeah,
A
okay.
lot
It's purely
of
comics.
there's a bit of Funko, because they
Okay.
used to have a separate Funko thing and then they combined them. But it's
Okay.
probably 80% comics, 20% Funko Pops.
Okay. Which
Um,
is opposite of most conventions nowadays.
yeah,
Most conventions all
there's no
comics.
there's virtually no cosplay. There's no
Okay. Oh, that's
there's
the
no
sad part. I don't think that's a good thing. I like to
there's
cosplay.
there's no there's no anime, all the sort of other sort of multimedia stuff isn't there. It is mainly focused on comics.
Hmm.
There's about I would say between 40 and 50 comic sellers
Okay.
from mainly around the London area, because you do get some from outside the London area, because it is a good place to sell comics.
Hmm.
And the sort of clientele are people like me and you.
Okay. So
So, you know,
high-end clientele, the most sophisticated buyers out there. Okay. I'm checking.
it is I would say still probably the majority of the customers are middle-aged men
Hmm.
who collect comics. However, that is gradually changing. There are some
Okay.
more younger people there, but it's unfortunately it is like that. But that does mean they're interested in buying the type of comics that I've got.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. It's your perfect clientele.
So yeah, I go there. I only have one table, and I take about 7 or 8 boxes. So I'm not a big seller. I started
Yeah.
this. It's a hobby for me. I retired. I want to do something with my hobby.
Hmm.
And my wife told me I'd got too many comics and I needed to sell some. So the London Comic Mart, it's about an hour and a half's drive for me from home. It's on a Sunday, so parking is free. You can park fairly close to the venue.
Oh, nice.
I have an assistant. Some of
Your
you may
henchman.
know him, called the Grey Man. He does all my carrying for me, and entertains my customers when I'm not there.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and we have a good time. To be honest, it's as much a social event as anything else, because you can meet up and have a chat with people that you've met online. I get quite a few people who watch my show,
Hmm.
who I've never heard of before. They'll come up to me and say, "Oh, what's your show?"
Oh, that's cool.
I watch your show with that Canadian guy.
That awesome
Um,
Canadian guy. It's okay.
I go, "Oh, okay, nice to meet you."
Okay.
So that's quite nice. And yeah, and if I'm lucky, I sell some comics. generally, most of the money I've made has been on big Silver Age comic keys. So I got quite a lot of Silver Age Spider-Man, which I don't collect. So that,
Okay.
is for sale. And I've sold quite a lot of Silver Age Spider-Man at the London Comic Mart. But
Mhm.
strangely, also I have been selling some modern age variants there as well.
Oh,
And that, I
really?
think, is mainly because I'm one of the few sellers there
That
selling.
has that.
Yeah. So most of them are selling, back issue. They get them. There's loads of guys there with huge long boxes selling 50 pence a comic. There's loads of dollar bins, pound bins selling
Mhm.
comics from, the 1990s, the 1980s, the 2000s.
Yeah,
People just rifling through them, trying to find that one comic that's going
that's
to
actually
make up their
worth more
collection.
than a dollar.
But it is a good place for that. I do, both the Grey Man and myself probably spend as much money as we make going around buying
That's
stuff.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, your wife might not be that happy with you going there.
Now, most of the time I do make more money than I've spent. I think there was
Mhm.
one occasion where I spent more than I made. But it is a good place for Bronze Age. I can pick up. I've been collecting Bronze Age horror. I've picked up a lot of Bronze Age horror
Okay.
at very good prices at the London Comic Mart. Virtually all the dealers will trade or will deal with you. So if you say, "Well, if I'm
Mhm.
going to buy 10 of these, will you knock some money off?" Most of the time they will.
So you can do a
Uh,
little haggling, right? And
you can haggle a bit. Yeah.
yeah, I like that. I always like to haggle. It's like a thing. I feel like if you can't haggle, it's not fun. It's not,
And I'm the same. Somebody comes up to me and goes, "Oh, you know, I want that Spider-Man issue 50,
Mhm.
and I've got it up for 400, I'll maybe haggle it down to 480, for 380 or 370,
Yeah.
depending on how I'm feeling and how much I want to like the person in front of me. So, uh, I've got some regular customers who come to. There's one guy who always comes to me, and all he wants is
It's Richard
Richard Corbin,
Corbin. Yeah, you told me about that. I think that's really cool. I like Richard Corbin, so I can appreciate it.
which is great. So
Mhm.
he rings me up as well. So he'll ring me up and he'll go, I'm coming on Sunday, Mark. I've got 150 quid to spend. Have you got any Richard Corbins?" So I
Wow.
make sure I've got 150 quid's worth of Richard
Of
Corbin
Richard
to sell.
Corbin's, yeah. So I mean, but Richard Corbin stuff is not easy to come by. So I can
No.
understand his excitement. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's lined up for the next one, which is a week on Sunday. He's coming, and I've got more than 150 quid's worth of Richard Corbin, so I'll have to pick out what I think he wants.
Mhm.
Yeah, so London Comic Mart, really good fun. Some really nice people there. Some of the other traders are really interesting, and I've picked up some good stuff there.
Yeah. How? Yeah.
Occasionally you do get some golden age stuff at really
Oh
good
wow.
prices. And yeah, so you can get some bargains there.
How
um
about
you
you
know
show some of the books that you either picked up or the type of books you would sell at those?
so I mean, I'm
I'll
not
make
going to
a
show
bid.
the one up. I mean, because they're sort of like Silver Age Spider-Man. You know what Silver Age Spider-Man looks like. What I will show you is so I have picked up a lot of Bronze Age horror from the London Comic Mart.
Okay.
So I will show, because I've been collecting Bronze Age horror over the last 12 months, and I'm continuing to do it this year because there's a lot of Bronze Age horror to acquire. So I'm going to slightly divert now and talk about Bronze Age horror, if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So, and I have picked up a number of these at the London Comic Mart at good prices. So I'm going to start with the granddaddy of all Bronze Age, with all sort of DC horror titles, and that is the House of Mystery.
That's what I was
Um,
thinking. Once you said that, I thought that.
Yeah, yeah. So the House of Mystery has been going a long time before the Bronze Age.
Hmm.
So it's the first bronze, the sort of real first main Bronze Age one was House of Mystery 174. So there was a lot of House of Mysteries before that. And
Hmm.
although I tried to restrict myself to the Bronze Age, I have, of course, purchased a load of House of Mysteries from Silver Age.
Yeah.
You do get Dial H for Hero appeared in House of Mystery, first appeared in House of Mystery.
Mhm.
John John's Manhunter had quite a big run in House of Mystery
Oh
as
wow.
well. So yeah, a slightly strange title. Anyway, in 1974, I think it was 73, 74, Joe Orlando took over editorship of the title. And he changed it into the sort of horror mystery, the horror sort of anthology title, with, you know, four or five different little horror stories. First started in 174, and then the presenter, Kane, arrives in issue 175. I haven't got 174, but I have got 175. This is a
Mhm.
Neil Adams cover, and this is the first appearance of Kane, who then curates House of Mystery right through to the end of House of Mystery. So Kane remains the curator right through here. Joe Orlando also acts as editor for a long time here, and in my view, he is the best. This is the golden age period. Although it's not golden age comics, this is the golden period for House of Mystery. We get a lot of Neil Adams covers. Here is
Yeah,
one
that looked like a
seven.
Neil Adams cover there. So
That
that
was a Neil Adams cover.
yeah.
Neil Adams does a lot of these covers at the start of Joe Orlando's editorship. Here's one in a really nice condition, that I picked this one up at the London Comic Mart. That is a Neil Adams cover. And one of the memes that you get in these horror stories is kids peering in, seeing
Through the
something
windows.
horrific.
Yeah.
So here you've got a number of kids peering in through the window, and that repeats loads and loads of times.
Yeah, I've seen that, like, especially in House of Mystery. Like, there's so many covers
House of
like that.
Mystery, a lot of them. Right, Bernie Wrightson. Bernie Wrightson first does his first work on House of Mystery. So
Mhm.
I haven't got it with me, but I do have it. It's his first artwork appears. He's not on the cover in House of Mystery 179. So look
Okay.
out for that one. He illustrates a story in House of Mystery 179, and then he becomes a regular on House of Mystery and House of Secrets, and he starts to do cover work. Here is a really early Bernie Wrightson cover, in House of Mystery 195. You know, this is really the golden age here. We've got Neil Adams and Bernie Wrightson doing artwork. I mean, you
Wow.
can't go wrong, really. This next one, again, I picked up at the London Comic Mart. It is in beautiful condition. This is a Bernie Wrightson cover. And what's nice, this seller at the London Comic Mart writes all these details on the back of each comic he sells.
Oh wow.
Can you
So,
see that? He's written,
what did he say here?
he says, number 204, July 1972. Cover art by Bernie Wrightson, story art, Bernie Wrightson, Alex Nino, plus shorts by Win Mortimer, Jack Sparling, and Sergei Aragonés.
Wow,
So
lots of really great talent they had on that.
yeah. I mean, this is you're talking really good stuff. So that's a bit of House of Mystery. House of Mystery, longest running, runs to about 380 something, I think.
Wow.
So the sister to House of Mystery is House of Secrets. And this is, again, House of Secrets was already running before it came a horror anthology title. But this is the first issue in which Kane's brother Abel takes over House of Secrets. Great cover here. Again, Neil Adams, and there you see the first appearance of Abel in House of Secrets. He does appear before this in a DC special.
And was that sort of a Joe Orlando idea that we should have it sort of like EC style, where we have like the
I
presenter?
think so. I think you can probably credit Joe Orlando with that. If somebody knows differently, they can tell us. But yeah, and so House of Secrets, sort of sister comic. This ends earlier. This gets culled off earlier than House of Mystery, but we do get some great stuff in House of Secrets.
That one actually reminds me of Monster House. Did you ever see
Yeah,
that
it
movie?
does. Yeah, we've mentioned that before with the house with the eyes and the teeth and everything.
Teeth, yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. So then we're moving on to one of my other favorite DC horror titles. And of course, Neil Gaiman uses a lot of the curators of these horror magazines in The Sandman. So
Yeah,
Cain and Abel both appear in The Sandman.
yeah.
And
Is
virtually
there a
all of,
reason for that? Is there like a like
I think
why?
he was just a fan of them. I think he's just a fan and wanted to use the characters, and nobody else was using them at the time, and he
Okay.
sort of revived them.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
here we go. This is a
Yeah.
great title called The Witching Hour. Now, this is almost the classic Bronze Age horror title because it starts right at the start of the Bronze Age, 1969, and runs for about 80 issues through to about 1979, which is the sort of end of the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
So the Witching Hour is almost the perfect collecting item for Bronze Age horror because
Yeah.
every issue is Bronze Age, and it,
Yeah.
89 issues is just about collectible. I've got over half of them now.
Oh wow.
But the curators here are the three witches, the young witch, the mother witch, and the old crone, who also appear in Neil Gaiman's The Sandman.
Mm-hmm.
And those three witches sort of appear throughout mythology in one form or another. They
I think of
appear in
Macbeth or something like that.
Macbeth. In Greek mythology, I think they're called the Hecate.
Yep.
So yeah, there we go.
Interesting.
This witching hour. Why am I showing you this one? I'm showing it to you because you need to be aware when you're buying your Bronze Age horror that
Okay.
during this period of time, you could find a little
Mark
added extra.
Jewelers. The Mark Jewelers. Wow, that's very cool.
These don't appear that often in DC comics. They're much more common in Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
These were inserted into comics that went to American military bases.
Now, did America have military bases in England?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, a number, and so we do
Yeah.
get quite a number of Mark Jewelers in the UK because they found their way out of the US military bases. So yes,
Imagine
when you pick up your Bronze Age horror, make sure you check them to see whether they've got a bronze Mark Jewelers in, because if they have,
sometimes you can look at the top of the book and
yeah, you
see
can
like a
with this
little
one.
line. There's that little line, that color line, like a
You can
blue
see
line
it.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got two copies of this, one without Mark Jewelers and one with. And if you look at the top, you can definitely see there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one of the titles that I wasn't particularly interested in collecting because I don't collect war comics.
Okay.
But actually, some of my favorite covers are on this title, and it's called Weird War Tales.
Oh
And I have
yes.
picked up quite a lot of Weird War Tales. I do have Weird War Tales #1. This I acquired from a UK Whatnot seller. I will talk about Whatnot in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But nice copy of Weird War Tales #1. This runs for quite a long time. Weird War Tales has some really nice covers. I really like this
I
one
almost
from.
feel like it's horror. Like a lot of the covers are very like
Oh, that
very
horror,
similar,
yeah, the horror
horror-esque.
stories
Yeah.
linked to war.
To war, yeah.
Some really, I do suggest that you check out the early issues of Weird War Tales. Are fantastic artwork, really good stuff. So I've got quite a few Weird War, and of course, towards the end of Weird War Tales, we do get the Creature Commandos appear.
Yeah, and actually that's been sort of a for anyone that's been collecting Weird War, that fact has really driven up the prices across all the Weird War. I've seen them all going kind of expensive lately.
Yeah, so this is the first appearance of Creature Commandos, J.M. DeMatteis, writer, and this is in Weird War Tales 93. I think it continues to about issue 150, 160, and the Creature Commandos appear regularly from here on in. Not in every issue, but and also there's a guy called GI Robot who also appears. So yeah, worth picking up Weird War Tales. Another fun one, and this is another This is another one I picked up at the London Comic Mart. You can see this little sticker up here.
Hmm.
This is another seller at the London Comic Mart it's not actually the same one as I showed before. And he's written on here, even though this is a relatively cheap comic, only cost me £5. He's written on it, number 219, 1982, Joe Kubert cover, Trevor Von Eden, Rick Estrada, and Keith Griffin appear in here.
Wow, he puts all the details. That's awesome.
Yeah. And this is just unexpected number 220. I just love this cover. This is obviously a Christmas edition, and this little kid stopping off at the unexpected booth and a large green hand.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, the other interesting thing, I've nearly finished. Another title that I quite like is called Black Magic,
Okay.
which is a short run, only about 16 issues, maybe even be less than that. Actually, I think it might be 12, only 12 issues. But it uses a title from a Golden Age horror comic.
Black Magic. Yeah, I have some of the original Black
Yeah,
Magic.
well, that is the Golden Age one. Yeah, and that is the Bronze Age one.
Almost looks the same.
It's almost exactly the same. So it's interesting. One is gold and one is bronze, because what happened is the Silver Age was created to be no horror comics.
Yeah.
And we all went superhero. So your horror appeared in your Golden Age, that one, and in your Bronze Age. It reappeared in the Bronze Age.
And so is that a reprint of the Golden Age, or what is it?
To be honest, I haven't read them. I suspect it is, because the cover is identical.
Yeah, the cover's like almost the same, just a couple of color changes.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
I think the Bronze Age one looks slightly better. Strangely,
the colors are better. What's interesting with this one, this is the Golden Age one. I don't buy a lot of Golden Age, but this was at the London Comic Mart, and it sort of linked in with the Bronze Age series that I was collecting. What's interesting on this is from a different seller, but what this guy does is he's obviously had this comic for years, and every so often, can you see he's updated the price of it?
Oh, wow. That's funny.
Yeah. So he's gone through and he's put the price down on this for every year that he's owned it. So he's owned this from 2014, and I bought it from him in 2023.
Wow.
Just a couple more. This is a series called Weird Mystery. This is quite nice as well. This only runs for about 14 or 15 issues. We've got some really nice covers. The reason I'm showing you this one, which is number 18, is this is the first appearance of Lucian, the librarian from Sandman.
Oh, okay.
So he goes on to become the host and the curator of a comic called Ghost Castle, which only lasts about 6 issues, but he first appears in here.
So this is Weird Mystery, which issue?
Weird Mystery number 18, the first appearance of Lucian. He has a bigger role in Sandman than he has in Bronze Age horror comics, to be honest with you.
That's interesting.
And then another Bronze. There's quite a few other Bronze Age titles. One of the big ones is called Ghosts.
Yeah, I've seen that one before. That title, yeah, that's a great title. Lots of really cool covers.
Yeah, so there you go. It's a bit of a flavour of Bronze Age horror, and some of those I picked up at the London Comic Mart. Really good sellers.
Well, interesting. So, do you find that the selection is quite good at the London Comic Mart? Like the variety, is it everyone have their own little niche? Is that how it works?
There are some big sellers. So the guy that I bought those, those Golden Age and Silver Age horror from, he's probably got 300 or 400 long boxes. He's got a huge store.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, you'd need more than the grey man to move all those boxes in and out. He's got a few young lads who obviously
helping
he arrives in a lorry full of this. I presume he just leaves them in the lorry. I can't imagine he unloads it.
Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, there's some big sellers there who've got
Hmm.
huge amounts of stock. Um, you know, they're doing it full time, so they need
Yeah,
to
it's
make
like a
a living.
business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, there's a few people like me who are doing it as a
Yeah,
sort
hobby,
of
fun extra.
add-on, but you know, some of them are, you know, full-time comic traders and need
Hmm.
to make a living from it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Um, Now, how do you find that, like, okay, so this is sort of the like in-person experience. How about Whatnot? Like in your experience with
okay,
Whatnot?
so I'm quite an early adopter of Whatnot, and I first adopted Whatnot for buying comics in America. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Mhm.
So quite often I will buy quite comics in America for a number of reasons. Firstly, if it's I can't find it in the UK.
Yeah. A lot of
Um,
those like cover variants you can't get in the UK, right?
yeah, that's true. So, but originally I was buying it to buy, you know, comics for my personal collection that I
Okay.
just couldn't find in the UK. Also, sometimes the prices are lower in the US than they are in the UK.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean,
even
that's because you're paying to bring it into the UK, so you're
Yeah,
paying for
so
all the
you'll see
shipping.
sometimes certain comics are more expensive in the UK than they are in the US. So,
Hmm.
you know, I like to check out both and see where I can get the best deal. And I still do that. And quite often I do find comics regularly that are cheaper in the US.
Yeah. I just
So I
bought a
start,
book from the UK. It was like £20 just for the shipping.
yeah, yeah.
Just for
So
one comic.
shipping is a problem. So
Yeah.
early on, I found Stackery, who I send my comics in the States to Stackery. They consolidate them, and I can get the shipping charge down to around about $1 a comic if I
Which is
ship
not
a
bad.
large quantity. So there's no point in me buying dollar comics to ship to the UK because I've got to add $1 to them for shipping, which is
Hmm.
double the price. So no
Yeah, yeah,
point. So
yeah.
it's only worth me bringing in comics that I'm going to sell for, you know, seven,
Yeah.
8, 9, £10 or more. So, you know, that's what I do. So I started buying comics on Whatnot in the US, and it didn't exist in the UK.
Hmm.
And I think early on I told you about Stackery, and you adopted Stackery as well.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
And so yeah, then what I'd started doing was I could buy. There was various sites I could buy modern variants from
Hmm.
for sort of about if I bought sensibly, I could get them for about 4 or 5 pounds.
Hmm.
Add a sort of pound for shipping, so it's about £5 or £6 by the time it's landed cost.
Hmm.
But I could sell them for sort of, you know, 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 quid, some of them.
Okay. So
Uh,
you're
on,
kind of almost doubling your money.
yeah, I reckon I'm about a sort of 20 to 30% margin,
Hmm.
probably, which is okay. You know, I'm all
Yeah,
right
yeah,
with
yeah. No, that makes it work. Yeah.
that. Because it's not, if I was trying to make a living out of it, but I'm doing it as
Yeah,
a
right.
hobby, so, you know, it's okay. And yeah, so and then a company started up in the UK who were doing a similar thing to Whatnot, because Whatnot wasn't in the UK, and they were
Hmm.
called VOT. So I was one of the first people to start selling on VOT.
Hmm.
Um, and then Whatnot appeared in the UK about a year ago, and quickly killed off VOT, who cocked
Okay.
up the comic
So,
market.
VOD is gone.
VOT doesn't do comics anymore. So
Wow.
yeah, Whatnot just cleaned them out. So they handled it very badly when Whatnot arrived. So they had some early adopters who they got signed up on an exclusivity agreement. And when Whatnot arrived, these guys said, "Well, we'd like to try selling on Whatnot as well." And Vought said, "No, you can't because you've signed an exclusivity agreement." And these guys were really pissed off,
So they just left.
and they just left.
Ouch.
And Yeah, so he ended up with about 3 sellers
Oh well.
left on Vought, of which I was one of the last 3. I bombed out as soon as Whatnot arrived, and I was about the
Hmm.
third or fourth UK Whatnot comic seller. and I've been doing it for about a year, but it's on and off. So because I've been working and I go on holidays,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
fairly intermittent. But yeah, I've traded there for about a year. I've probably I do declare tax.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
So I've turned over, turned over in excess of £20,000 this year, which is not bad, is it?
not bad, not bad. That's like a little income.
Yeah, and and I've passed some comics on to other people at decent prices. My view is if you can buy well, then you can sell well and give your customers a good price. So
Hmm.
that's the best way to do it, isn't it? So
Yeah, yeah.
it is about buying well. I do buy in UK auction houses as well. So you can get some really good deals at UK auction houses. Much
Hmm.
better. I make much better margin on those than I do on the stuff that I buy from the States. But that tends to be more traditional comics. So you'll pick up a complete run of Spectacular Spider-Man or a complete run of Star Wars.
Hmm.
For a lowish price, and you can then sell the individual issues on for much more.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so but what I do find is US whatnotters will buy Bronze, Silver Age, and Golden Age comics because they're a much more sophisticated, or they're much more used to comic trading.
Okay.
In the UK, Whatnot has actually created a whole new generation of comic buyers.
Okay. And
So
what,
I would say
they're
probably
younger
50,
or
mixed. So I
okay.
would say 60%, 60 to 70% of the people buying comics on UK Whatnot are new collectors. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they buy what they know. So what they know is the modern variants. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So they'll buy the modern variants. If you put a Spider-Man variant up
They'll buy it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
do it at a reasonable price, it'll sell. You know,
Hmm.
if if Batman, if you put a Batman variant up, so they will buy stuff that they recognize. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it probably needs to be modern, and it probably needs to be a character they know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. So
Batman,
the ones that have been the movies recently. Yeah.
yeah, Avengers.
Hmm.
Uh, so it needs to be something that has got brand recognition.
Hmm.
If you put anything up that is if I put up, for instance, Captain Atom from the 1960s or 70s,
They'd be
it
like,
would
not
be like tumbleweed blowing down the road.
yeah. Yeah.
Suddenly I would have no viewers. And
Hmm.
even if you put up stuff like it depends. Occasionally you will get one or two sophisticated buyers
Okay.
who will buy the more, but buy the other stuff. But I can sell. So if it's a well-known character, Spider-Man, for instance, I sold quite a few um, early Spectacular Spider-Mans for a decent price the other day, but it was to a single buyer who knew what he was doing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, you've got to know your audience.
Yeah. And do you find that their budgets are there, or is it like sort of a certain price range that you kind of is a sweet spot kind of thing?
So you generally so there's a load. So the UK whatnot market has been swamped by sellers, right?
Yeah, I
So
can imagine.
everybody who's ever bought a comic thinks that they can sell comics. Okay,
Yeah, of
so
course.
they all go on whatnot
Hmm.
and they start selling their personal comics that they've bought over the last year for a
Okay.
pound. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So one of the things I always look out for is new sellers because they sell everything for a pound
And then they
and
never make more than that. So you're
not a
buying
clue.
everything at a pound.
So
Yeah.
some of them have actually got some of them probably did have a small comic collection before they started, and they've got some and sometimes they'll be selling modern stuff at £1, and suddenly they'll bring out, you know, a 1960s Fantastic Four or something, and so it's £1. They've got no idea what it is, right? And you go, what? And you go, pound, bid, and you think everybody's going to bid for this. No, nobody knows. Nobody has a clue what it is. You know, oh, I don't
Wow.
recognise that. That's from the 1960s.
Nah,
You know,
it's not, can't, it's not a modern variant. It can't be worth anything.
I've picked up some absolutely unbelievable bargains
Wow.
off whatnot sellers who have absolutely no clue what they are doing. Yeah.
Wow.
And so then you get some whatnot sellers who are traditional sellers. So they sell on eBay or they sell in a store, and they come onto whatnot and they haven't quite worked it out.
Mhm.
They haven't worked out who the market is. So there's one or two who've got some fantastic stock. There's one guy who got Silver Age, Golden Age, some
Oh, wow.
really good stuff. He knew what the values were, but he was trying to stimulate whatnot interest, right?
Okay.
The problem was there's about 5 people in the UK on whatnot who appreciated what he was selling. So, you know, he was dropping the prices in order to
And
try and stimulate interest.
and there's just no interest. There's not
Well, there
enough
was
people to
me.
be interested. Yeah.
So I bought about half the stuff he put up every week because it
Mhm.
was crazy, you know, really interesting Golden Age and Silver Age stuff at 30% off what you'd normally pay for it. And eventually he just gave up. He just went back to
Well, he
eBay.
was giving away comics at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so is it the case that you can start the bid at whatever price you want? You could like have like $1,000 comic, or do you have
Yeah,
to
you
start
can if
at?
you want. Nobody will bid. I mean, you'll have no viewers.
Okay, okay. I'm just curious. But do you see ever those kind of big sales, or is it usually like the
Only on
five
US, only
to
on the
three?
only on US whatnot. I
Okay,
think I think the highest price I've seen on UK whatnot is me.
okay. Because
Um,
I have
uh,
like I attended Whatnot once, and the only reason was it was a comic that had a lot of draw. It was an amazing fantasy. Your favorite book, 15. Your favorite book. And it sold for 24,000, I believe. It was
wow,
like a 3.0. It was like it sold, and everyone was like, "Oh, it didn't sell very well." But then afterwards, there was a bunch of sales that kind of confirmed that that was the price. But that was kind of the biggest sale that they ever had on Whatnot. Was that Amazing Fantasy
yeah,
15?
on UK whatnot, if you put anything up over about £30 or £40, the chances of you selling it are minimal.
Okay,
Occasionally, I have sold them at more than that, but it's
okay,
generally when there's been one guy who, who knows what they're doing, or it's a guy who's moved on. Because what happens is people mature as comic
sure,
collectors.
yeah, yeah,
You started off, you start off buying what you know, then you
yeah.
go, oh, actually,
That's pretty
this
cool.
stuff, this
Yeah.
stuff from the 70s is quite interesting. And
Hmm.
then you go, oh, actually, this Silver Age stuff from the 60s, and
Hmm.
this is much rarer than this stuff that I'm buying now. And this is
Yeah.
genuinely rare. And then, if you've got the money, you do what you did and again go, well, Golden Age is the place
It's
to be
so
because
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
that's even rarer. And look at some of these covers.
Hmm.
So as you move, and which is probably where I'd go if I wasn't in the UK, but trying to buy Golden Age in the UK is
It's
pointless.
yeah, hard. Yeah.
So occasionally I buy a Golden Age, but it's rare. It's just because I see it and it's um but you progress, don't you, as a comic buyer. So
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
some of the whatnotters go from, you can see them, they've moved on from the I'm just buying the modern variants, and they've gone,
Mhm.
this is interesting. What about this 1970s stuff, or
Mhm.
1980s stuff? All of
So
them
they're
know that
becoming more sophisticated. Is the
they
point
become more sophisticated, so then you can sell them some of the
now?
other stuff.
Like if the price range is only like 40 pounds, how would slabs, would it be mostly raw books, or is it, you see some slabs as well?
So yeah, rare. So
Okay.
generally, if anybody, I've seen people. I saw a guy doing a slab show last week,
Hmm.
and he sold a couple at like 30 quid, which is like what it costs
That's
you
the
to get.
cost of the slab. Wow.
And anything he had, anything more than that, was just, it was tumbleweed down the road because,
Because I would think that slabs would be kind of hard to get in the
yeah, they
UK.
are hot to cat. And occasionally people ask for slabs.
Yeah.
And you go, oh yeah, okay. So I was doing a show the other week, and anybody said, have you got any slabs? I said, look, at the end of the show, I'll go into my room and I'll bring you some slabs out. I can't remember what he said. He said he was interested in Joker. So I said, well, I've probably got a few slabs with the Joker on it. I said, but
Hmm.
they're not going to be cheap.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
went, yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, I went and grabbed about. I knew he wasn't going to buy. I went again and grabbed them, and we were sort of like 100, 150,
Okay.
250. Um,
Reasonable. Yeah.
no, not. He disappeared quickly.
Yeah.
He thought I was going to sell him a Silver Age Joker cover for 30
For
quid.
like, yeah, like cost of the slab. Yeah. 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 I mean, there is, yeah, I think there is that because they kind of expect the, lack of sophistication on the seller's end as well, right? You
Yeah,
get buyers in there that might be a little savvy, and they're like, okay, can I sneak some great deals out of this guy? Maybe.
but
Um,
it's all again. But if you buy some, I've bought some slabs in the US
mhm.
at sort of 20 to 30, $25,
Okay.
which is like 20 quid.
Yeah, yeah,
Even with the shipping costs, they're arriving here at 25 quid, which is 5 quid less than it'll cost you to get the thing slabbed in the UK. Now,
yeah, yeah.
generally what I do with those is I use them as giveaways at the end of the show. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things that I do, I'm hoping none of my whatnot viewers are watching this. I think it's unlikely. Uh, but one of the things that I will do is that you have giveaways during the course of the show, and you
Hmm.
can do giveaways just for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which draws people in, because
yeah,
there are lots of bots around that go, oh, there's a
yeah. Well,
giveaway.
everyone wants something free.
So all the sort of bots arrive, and people arrive and start, and you have to be a follower, but you just press follow button.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but you can also run giveaways just for buyers, which I prefer because
yeah. Of course,
with
it
the with
encourages
the
them to buy.
with the one for everybody, I pay the postage, and they never buy another comic. So it ended up costing me the comic plus the postage cost plus my time to send it out to somebody who's no intention of buying a comic from me. Whereas if I do it for a buyer, I'm rewarding the buyers for buying from me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer the buyers giveaways. And one of the things I'll do is I'll run a big buyers giveaway at the end of my show, but you have to be there.
Okay.
So it means that if you bought something from me during the course of my show, you might as well stay because you might
Yeah,
win the
you don't
big
want to miss
giveaway.
out at the big thing at the end.
And while they're sitting there watching, I might grab them and they'll buy something else.
Yeah, and you get a couple extra sales out of that one
Yeah,
person. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, and do you have it where it's a ticket system where if they buy more, they get more tickets
I,
towards the
I
draw or
don't
something?
think it works like it's run by Whatnot. So Whatnot clamped down on people going rogue and doing their own sort of. I used to do my own sort of random wheel thing, and
Oh, okay. So you can't do that. It's
you'd
very
know they
controlled.
banned it because it's against UK gambling laws or something. It can't be
Oh, okay. That's
it can't be
interesting.
it can't be seen as gambling. It's got to be a fair thing for everybody, and you know, it's got to be it's got to be open to everybody, and so on and so forth. So
Okay.
I used to do that in the early days of Whatnot, but a couple of people got banned for doing that
Oh,
type
okay.
of thing,
Wow.
and in the US as well. Um, so you have to be quite careful.
Mhm.
Another thing you can do is mystery boxes. So
Oh,
you
yes.
you bundle comics up and you do them as a mystery box. But a few
Mhm.
people got into trouble with that. You've got to be able to demonstrate that what the value you're claiming for the mystery boxes is correct. So you
Okay.
can't say the average value of these mystery boxes is $50
And then it's
if
like 20
actually
bucks
it's
inside. Yeah.
$25.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, usually what I've seen is like they'll bundle all their dollar bin books.
yeah,
Like, and then they'll claim that they're $2 each, but really they're much.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you're buying mystery boxes, my advice to you is watch the show before you buy.
To
Let
see what
somebody
they.
open them up. So some of them will open up. They'll generally open them up as on the show when the person buys them, and
Oh, okay.
you can see
Their
what's the
quality.
quality of what's in them. And some people do really good mystery boxes. Some people will go, well, it's £50, $50 a box. The average value is 100, and the ceiling is 300. You're going, okay, I'm going to watch a few.
That's
And you
reasonable.
watch a few, and you go, actually,
They're right. Yeah.
that's probably pretty good. There's some pretty.
So the big thing for me, the reason I don't get into mystery boxes is like, sure, let's say it's a $300 value, but it could be all books that even at that value, I'm not interested in.
No, but if you're a reseller, then
If
you
you're a
can.
reseller, yeah, it makes sense. It makes total sense. But
So I do buy some mystery boxes in the US because I
mhm,
can pick them up. I'll be careful. I won't overpay for them. So I'll pay. There's one where there's some big prizes. So you've got a chance of getting a $500 ceiling. If you do, that's great. But what you need to make sure is that if you don't get that $500 one, are you still money quids in? And there's a couple of shows that do this. And as long as you're paying below $30 for the pack, you're fine,
mhm.
because there's
Yeah,
6 or 7 comics in there, and they're all variants. So I can probably flog them all and at least make my money back, if not make a bit of profit, even if I don't win the big prize. And occasionally I win the big prizes. So then it's
that's a bonus. Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's cool. I hear like stories all the time from people that buy from Whatnot winning some free slab, and they're always great. Oh, I got a signed slab, and like all this. Like,
Yeah, but it's not free because you've generally, when I watch them, yeah. So those are the ones I'm talking about. So
mhm.
I have to say I am quite lucky, and I have
Okay,
won more than my fair share of, and
I'm
it's
not
never
lucky. I'm not lucky at all.
okay.
So,
So I'm relatively
so no
lucky.
luck.
So I win more than my fair share of them. So I
Mhm.
probably won 10 to 15.
Oh wow, wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
And you get a signed slab. Sometimes it's worth $50. Sometimes I've had a couple worth of $150, $200.
Oh wow,
Uh,
that's a pretty nice prize.
but it's not something I particularly want.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
no, but you can sell it, right? Then
I could
that's
sell
something
it.
to sell. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, or give it away at your
yeah, I'll give it away as a freebie. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So yeah, that's very cool. So yeah, so this was a pretty cool interview. Where can people find you? Just quickly.
Okay, so they can find me. I have a YouTube channel, and you can find me by typing "Suddenly Comics" into the YouTube. And
Mhm,
I've been on YouTube for about 2.5 years. Um,
mhm,
so I've got a lot of back content.
mhm.
Um, you can go and watch all 200 price variant shows, or
Is
however
it
many
is it
we've
that
done.
many? It seemed like a
No,
lot.
no,
Yeah.
it's approaching. I'd said to my son, can you watch my videos, because I need to get my viewing hours up. And
Okay.
he went, what's the best way of me doing that? I just said, select price variants and then just play the
By all of
price
it.
variant, because it plays for about 5 days if you just run it.
Oh wow, we've been battling that much. That's pretty awesome. Um,
Um, yeah, so you can find me on YouTube. Quite a lot of content there. I'm not nowhere near as much as Alan.
yeah,
Alan is phenomenal. Alan has posted every day for about the
crazy
last
amounts of
3
content.
years. I
Yeah.
post on average 2 to 3 times a week.
Mhm,
So you can find me on YouTube, or you can find me on UK Whatnot. If you're based in Canada or the US,
mhm.
you do have a shipping charge,
Okay.
but once you've bought something, the shipping charge drops dramatically. So if you like what I'm selling, it can be worth buying one,
Okay.
because you can then buy 4 or 5, and then it becomes worthwhile.
Um,
On my last Whatnot sale last Friday, I did have a US buyer,
oh
so
wow.
that was exciting. Um, so yeah, we'll. That's where you can find me.
Are you on Instagram? You're on Instagram too. So
I am on
what's
Instagram.
that?
I don't
Oh,
sell on Instagram. I don't sell on Whatnot. Those are purely entertainment channels.
Hmm.
So you can find me on Instagram again, Suddenly Comics. I post on Instagram, just comic covers generally.
Okay, cool.
What else? I think that's about it. Or you can find me at the London Comic Mart if you want to come to
Yeah,
London
meet them in
and
person.
visit the London Comic Mart. You can find me. I have had somebody come from America who did say that they'd watched our show.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's part of London tourism. Is
the
go
London
go
tour. You can go and see Tower Bridge, Buckingham Palace,
and London Comic Con.
the London Eye, and me at
Yeah.
the London Comic Mart.
That's awesome. Okay, well, thank you again for doing this. We'll
No
have to do
problem.
it again when I need some more
When you're
interviews.
short of people to
When
interview.
I'm short of interviews, we'll have to do it again. Again, thanks again, Mark.
No
Okay,
problem, Alan. Thanks very much. Bye.
okay, bye everyone. Okay.